I would like to ask, sir, in terms of preaching the gospel to people, there's these two strategy most Christians do use. The first one, I call them the God give me factor, and the second one is the fear factor. The God give me factor is just like, if you accept Christ in your life, God will give you this, God will give you that. And they preach the second factor, which they preach fear into that person. So I want to ask, how do you preach Christ to somebody that has his life figured out? Like, how do you preach Christ to somebody like Dangote or Elon Musk without using those two factors? How do you do that, sir?
I don't think those two factors are even right in the first place. Yeah. In the first place. Because number one, why did Jesus teach the rich young ruler to go and sell us these properties and follow him? Why? Number one. Number two, Zacchaeus Agbowode, the tax collector, like a custom officer today. Jesus said, today salvation comes into your home. I am going to dwell. I'm going to dwell in your house today. You are not going to preach prosperity preaching to Elon Musk. You are not going to preach fear into Dangote, because to the glory of God, he has overcome all those things. He has overcome them. And you are not going to preach to him that if you have Jesus, he will give you wealth. He has wealth before he met Jesus. He has everything. The only factor that can touch people like this to believe that there is a power above every other power. I saw a man from India, maybe the 7th or the 10th richest man in the world. I followed this documentary to the end. He was healed. Not quite long ago. He was healed. And they took him to the best hospitals. They gave him the best things. They gave him the best of everything. He was not dead.
And you know something? A young boy who was doing evangelism, going to the hospital to pray for people. Not a renowned pastor, a young evangelist. He was just going to hospital doing teachings and went to where the word of the man was. And when he went to the man and he saw the man, he saw everything around the man, but he was bold enough and said, "Can I pray with you, sir?" And the man said, "Yes, yes, yes, yes." You know, when you are helpless, everybody becomes your helper. Do you know that?
And the man held his hand and prayed with the man. You know what that millionaire, that rich man said? He said, immediately he held my hand.
The man was weeping.
Immediately he held my hand and did begin to pray for me. I felt a warm sensation running through me. And I felt there was a God somewhere. People in this position will need the visibility of God's power to accept Christ.
You cannot just open your mouth and start preaching something to them and you want them to believe. No, they won't, because they will tell you, before you brought your Christ to me, I am made. Before you want to bring your Christ to me, I am satisfied. I have everything it takes. So the missing link you have to show them, you have to make them understand. John 4:48 is to tell them there is a power above every other power. There is a name that is above every other name. And let it be visible to them. Without that, people like that, okay, Peter Obi has a controversy. On Twitter, on every social media platform.
Limit your VG. Limit your church going. Use your time to make money. Some pastors came for him openly.
And some came for those pastors too. And even 2 days ago, Peter Obi he was on a podcast. And he said, how will you pick your phone and say there is a miracle money?
You should be arrested. He was on podcast.
I don't want to go into those miracle money saga, that era. I don't want to be part of that. I don't want to comment on that. But I know if you are to convince people like that there is Christ, you have to show them a proof. If Jesus did not show them the proof, all the rich men Jesus had an encounter with in the scripture, Jesus showed them a proof that he is the Son of God and the power of the Most High resides in him. Cornelius, a very rich general, had everything.
There was a proof before he accepted Christ.
Well, what was the proof? In the night hour, an angel appeared to him and he was shaking
To his foundation. He accepted. So when you want to preach Christ to people at that level, your Christ has to be visible.